Apologies that we are starting a bit late. The time to resolve. I'm happy to. I'll be happy if you can hear me. Hello, can you can hear me? Oh, perfect. Apologies once again. I would like to introduce our speakers for today. We have in our midst Eniola. Eniola is a graduate of computer science and founder of Mentor Eniola Women Empowerment Initiative, MIWE, which is an organization poised to empower women and girls through education, mentorship, and community service in a bid to ensure that every young person on the continent of Africa have access to opportunities and become globally competitive, and as a way of giving back to our community. She established a YouTube channel, Eniola Kitia, where she regularly educates teaming global viewers on graduate scholarship application and study tips. Eniola, we're happy to have you. Thank you for granting us this privilege to have interaction with you, and hopefully your insightful contribution would go a long way in shaping our thoughts and ideas as it relates to scholarship applications in all. Our next speaker is Simon Peter Lokomo. Simon believes strongly that sharing information is caring. He also believes that education is the means through which young and talented students can foster Africa's development and gain much sought after skills. After applying for over 12 scholarships in different countries, he received 6 partially funded scholarship offers. He thereafter decided to create myscholarshipnetworks.com purposely as a platform for fully funded scholarship opportunities for graduate students across the globe and Africa in particular. The website has served as a ready guide to thousands of students who have successfully applied for scholarships. Additionally, he regularly publishes Ielts study materials online. After going through the experience of preparing for the exams, passing the exams, and getting an English teaching qualification, he felt that many students could do better if they were properly guided to adequately prepare for the exams. In this light, he further shares free Ielts academic and general training materials, which has also helped many test takers to pass the exams. Thank you so much, Eniola and Peter, as we interact with you to get insight into how to prepare for scholarship applications and other applications likewise. So the first aspect of our conversation this evening, or this afternoon, or this morning, as the case may be, is to look at what application for admission really entail. So my question to you, Eniola, this morning or afternoon is, the general aim of seeking graduate education is to build capacity and expertise in certain areas and contribute to the continent's development. When seeking international study or international school for graduate study, what should applicants look out for, given your experience in advising people on courses and the likes to apply for graduate study?
Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for the question. I want to believe that everyone can hear me. Yeah, so when applicants are considering schools to study abroad, there are some things they should look out for. And the first thing is the school's program, the particular program of the school. It's not enough that a school is offering your course or your program. You actually have to check the department website and look through what the program is all about and how it fits with your career and your long-term goals. Because sometimes the curriculum of that program might not actually fit with what you actually want long-term. So it's very important that you always go through the department website of any school you are considering before you even send your application. Another thing is to also check, because most times international students are always looking to get scholarship to fund their studies abroad, as studying abroad can be very expensive. So you should also check if the school has an history of funding international students. You check their website, the tuition, the fees, and all of that, and the availability of funding in the department, especially if funding is very important to you. Also, you should check the international body of the school. You can always find out if this school accepts international students. If you use LinkedIn, you can always type the name of the school on LinkedIn and it will bring about people, and you can always check through the names if you see international students or people who studied in their home country before coming to that particular school. These things are important because by the time you get there, you want to be able to adapt and find a community that will welcome you. And the international body is very good for that. And also, you should consider the environment, the country where the school is located. Yeah, because there are some problems that are peculiar to some countries. Racism is everywhere. Even in Nigeria and Africa, there's racism. So, but you can always check for places where it is not very high or that you can manage because people die from racism and all of that. It is a big deal. So you can always consider the environment, the school's program, how it fits with your career and long-term goals, the international body of the school. And the last thing I want to talk about is the opportunities available for graduates of that particular program. You can always find out the return on investment of this particular program. Like if I take this program, what are the opportunities available? Are there opportunities for students of this particular program in this particular school to pursue jobs in that particular country? These are things that you should consider, especially if it is important to you. If you just want to study and go back to your country, you should also consider if that course would actually help you to get a good job back in your country or help you in your career path. So these are the things I think applicants should look out for when considering particular schools to apply to study abroad. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janela, for that insightful contribution. Simon,
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
so given your experience,
Can you hear me? Sorry.
yes, we can hear you, Simon. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, exactly. I just had to
Oh,
connect you
perfect,
on the mic.
perfect. So the question is, it is understandable that top-ranked institutions across the globe are highly competitive. You know, the likes of Harvard, Yale, Cornell, Columbia, NYU, and a couple of other Ivy League schools across the globe. They are highly competitive as they receive thousands of applications yearly. How can a potential applicant distinguish their applications and get accepted by their dream institution?
Oh, thank you. Sorry again. I wanted to say that yeah, the connection or the download of the app wasn't working well. Finally, I'm happy that I'm connected. And yes, I guess I've already been introduced. My name is Simon Peter Lokomo from Uganda. And in my profile, you can see that I have a CERT TESOL, which is a certificate basically which qualifies me to teach English to second language speakers. And I also have a bachelor's degree from Makerere University, as well as a master's of public health from City University, London. And as you may know, I own the website myScholarshipsNetwork.com. Before it used to be AfriWideScholarships.com. And I wanted just to give you a small background before I can go to the question. I started this website because I realized that there was a lot of information which many students didn't know. Like my friends back in Uganda would ask me, how do you apply for scholarships? How do you do the English exam? How do you write a personal statement? And I was like, okay, if I have many people writing to me on WhatsApp, this won't work. So what I did was I created a website, WordPress website. I knew nothing about websites. And that's how I started AfriWide Scholarships. But then I realized that I needed to host it. And then I moved it to myscholarshipsnetwork.com, where I'm hosting it now with Bluehost. Just to make it, now it's like kind of something professional, you know, many people can access it. And yes, so that's a brief background about myself. To your question, I think to stand out from these competitive universities, first of all, you need to stand out in terms of applying to the university and getting admission to the university. So that means you have like to get your essays spot on. You have to write a personal statement, and not just a generic personal statement like I see many people going to the internet and just pick a copy and paraphrase it and think that they are being authentic and original. No, you need actually to write an authentic personal statement which is in line with the university. Like for instance, if you're applying for a course in agriculture, you should know that what makes you tick as an applicant to the course or to the Department of Agriculture. Do you have any experience which is related to that, either voluntary or professional? Does that help you to stand out from other candidates? Because you know thousands will apply and maybe they will just select 200. So you really need to fit the criteria of the admission. And it all comes down to the personal statement and how your goals meet or are in line with the goals of the university you are applying to. Of course, there are other things like the exams you have to take, GRE, GMAT, Ielts, and also, yeah, that's what you need basically in order to stand out as an applicant.
Thank
Yep.
you so much, Simon, for that insightful contribution. Back to you, Eniola. One of the requirements of this institution is applicant's personal statement, just like Simon has rightly alluded to, or letter of motivation. In fact, potential applicants or applications often get confused on what it means and how they could put together a winning personal statement. Given your experience so far, Eniola, what do you think are the things an applicant should look out for when putting together one's personal statement?
Thank you very much, Chooks, for the question. So I actually like talking about this because ever since I started my master's program in the United States, I'm currently a master's student in the United States studying computer science, in my second year. So I had the opportunity to talk to the chair of my department one time, and I was trying to ask that when reviewing applications, what do they look out for like what do they check from international applicants? And the statement of purpose was actually the first thing he talked about. So the statement of purpose is very important because that is your basic opportunity to present yourself, to position yourself properly, strategically. So I always talk about in your statement of purpose, it's very important to never repeat your resume. A lot of people just talk about the same thing in their resume and just narrate it in the statement of purpose. That should be avoided. Do not repeat your resume. You don't need to talk about how you went to school, you got admission, then you got these grades, and then you went to work at this place, and then you went on to develop this skill. Those things can be seen from your resume. So there's actually no point repeating your resume, and you have already submitted your resume as part of your application, so there is no reason for you to repeat your resume. The second thing is always talk about why the program and why the particular school. Why are you going for this program, and why are you pursuing this particular program in this particular school? Why not any other school? Why this particular school? Also, you should talk about the skills and the knowledge you hope to gain. Do not talk about generic skills. Do not just go to the internet and copy how this program is going to make me to be ready to be employable and all of that. No, you should talk about the particular program, link it to your past experience and what you hope to gain in the future. You can always go to the program's website. If you're going for a master's in biology or you're going for a BSc in physiology, you go to the department website. Look at what their curriculum tends to offer. Think of how it links to your career goals and use that to write your essay, because that shows that their program can offer what you want. That shows that the skills and the knowledge you hope to pursue, they can offer it in their program. That should be written in your statement of purpose. And also, you should talk about the value you hope to add. What value are you going to add? People don't always want just people want to take and take. As a student, you should also be thinking of giving. So you should talk about your previous skills, your previous experience, and what you can offer them based on all of that. If you have done a project before, if you have maybe you're a computer scientist, maybe you developed an app before, you could talk about the app and you could talk about something you hope to do for them by the time you become a student of that institution. Because if they accept you into their school, you're going to become an alumni someday. They want to be sure that you're somebody that can add value, that you're somebody that seeks to add value, and maybe in the future, maybe after you've even graduated from their university, years after, you seek to add value to them. So they always want to know that. And also, always end your statement of purpose with an appreciation. Always thank the body that is going to review the statement of purpose, the personal essay, in advance. Thank them that you will be grateful for this opportunity. So never repeat your resume. Always talk about why that program, I'm pursuing this program because it's going to help me with this, because I can see from the curriculum that taking this program will help me to own my data science skills and help me to be able to tell more stories for data and assist organizations in order to make better decisions from data. That's just an example, like if you're pursuing something related to data science or any of that. So you should always talk about why the program, why the school, what skills and knowledge you hope to gain from the program, what value you'll be adding, and never repeat your resume. And also always appreciate at the end of the statement of purpose. And also, you don't need to write any tragic story that never happened to you. There's no need for that. You don't need to write lies or falsify your statement of purpose. And also, I will never advise that you use the same statement of purpose for all your applications. Always tailor your statement of purpose to the particular school that you're applying to. Always do that. Always mention some faculty member's name. Always mention the name of the school in your statement of purpose. Do not use a generic statement of purpose for all the schools you're applying to, because each school's program is different. The masters in biology in this school, what they are offering their curriculum might be different slightly to the masters in biology in another school. So always tailor your statement of purpose to that particular school. It is very important. So that's it. Thank you. And also, I post videos on my YouTube channel to help, and I've made a video about this before, so I'm just going to drop that in the chat box. Thank you very much, Chooks.
Thank you, Eniola, for that wonderful contribution.
Hello, Chooks. Can I add something there?
Oh, please go ahead. Go ahead and add,
Yes.
Simon.
Yeah, as I can see, my colleague Eniola, as I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, as she has told you about the personal statement. I mean, that is very clear. And just make sure you get the difference between a personal statement for a scholarship and the one for application to the university, because those could be two different things. When you are speaking about application to a certain course or university, then you speak about the course modules, what course you did, and why you think that is the next step for you, or you give the why you think that you are the best person to apply to that certain school or that specific course. But when you're applying for a fully funded scholarship or any scholarship, you have to know the mission and the vision of that organization which is providing the scholarship, and then merge it to what your experience is, maybe what you have achieved so far, your awards, accolades, and whatever, and then relate it also to the course you are applying to. So it should all come in a way which is linked. So just get that difference, because I see sometimes people applying using the personal statement for a course to also apply for a scholarship. Those are two different things. The difference is a bit little, but it's there.
Thank you so much, Simon, for that wonderful addition. In the same vein, Simon, still with you, Simon, we understand that some institutions also require language proficiency tests. Like you mentioned earlier, we have the Ielts, TOEFL, TOEFL, and all that from applicants. And interestingly, a few of the institutions, some of them actually offer waivers. I know a couple of schools in the US and Canada as well offer waivers where your language of instruction in your undergraduate study was in English. So should language proficiency test be an integral part of an applicant's preparation for graduate study? And if yes, what is the best way to prepare for the test?
Okay, excellent. Actually, this is kind of my area of qualification, because I teach English in Dakar, Senegal, and I also have students I teach Ielts privately, one-on-one. And yes, I would say that it's a part of the process, but like you've said, many universities in the US and Canada give English waivers or Ielts waivers to many students who are from British colonies, for instance, Nigeria, Ghana, Uganda, Kenya, you can name all of them. They give waivers to most of students from those countries. But when it comes to the UK, I found it a bit different, because I said in my story, I applied for over 12 scholarships, and some of them were in the US and others were in the UK. I realized in the UK that the top universities like Oxford, Cambridge, City University, UCL, King's College, London, they don't really give you waivers. I mean, they give in rare cases, but you have to give a lot of documents. Maybe you have to go to your university, and a well-renowned professor should write a letter, or your dean of students should write a letter, mostly from a public university, saying that you did all your course in English and you're proficient in English. I mean, that could work, but you should always have a backup plan to study for the IELTS, because it's not really difficult. It's just that I mean, I don't like IELTS myself, because it really doesn't test your English. There's just a structure. There's a way you should answer questions. So it doesn't matter. It's not really about your English, because many people can practice and really get a higher mark. So you just have to practice, and it doesn't mind your English level. Okay. Again, as you may see, many universities now in the US are waiving GRE because of the COVID, and that could be also an advantage to many students now applying to universities. I one time published few of the universities which had gone ahead to remove it, but you can always go to the website of a university you are interested to apply to, and you can see if they are removing the GRE exam for students applying this academic year. And again, for you asked how students could prepare. In my Twitter, for you who are following me in Twitter, I know I have a big following from Nigeria. For you who are following me in Twitter, you can see that I share tips and tricks of passing Ielts. I share free materials. So I have a lot of free materials, which are, I can say now that I've just added the listening materials. Just this week, I've added listening materials. I can now say that this can help you pass the exam without using any other resources. Of course, again, it depends on your level of English. I've taught students who are intermediate level, because Ielts academic, not Ielts general, that's a different thing, but Ielts academic is a bit difficult, and it requires C1 or C2 in English. So if you are B1 or B2, that is intermediate, you would require to practice a lot, you know. And again, I know many students who have maybe gone to do science courses, nothing against people who have done science courses, but I've seen people who have done science courses in universities, maybe their English needs to, you know, you need to brush it off, because it is essays, you know, it's general topics. It's not maybe a science topic which you have knowledge on and you can speak for, you know, for hours. So students from the science background, in my experience, need more help to get around, you know. They can describe graphs if you are given a graph, but then there are other parts where you have to write an essay, and that's where they struggle a lot. And then if you really like see that you're not improving with the free materials which I provide, which you can just go to Twitter and then send me a direct message, and I can send to you all the links to the materials for free, and you can use this for practicing. And if you really find that after using those materials that you're not really getting, like, because I've put it like a mock test where you can track your progress. If you're not progressing well, then I would advise that you buy the Cambridge books, which are in Amazon, if you can afford them, or you can take an Ielts online exam. An online course. I have again seen many people taking courses, but most of the courses out there are not good courses. I've tried to look at a few of them, and I've not really got one which I can recommend to my students. There is one I'm currently looking at. Maybe in the next week I will have feedback, because I also want to recommend something which is good to potential applicants. So that is what I can say about the Ielts. It's just part of the process. Try the waiver. If you cannot get the waiver like I did, I got a waiver for 2 universities, but the 2 universities I couldn't get it. I had to do the Ielts, you know, and I said, okay, I'm an English teacher, so I can take it in a week and pass. But then I realized that it doesn't matter your level of English. You need to know the exam, because timing, you need to practice in order to get your timing right. Because if you go to the exam and you don't know how to time, then you will be lost in the exam. You will lose time, like in writing, in reading, in speaking. You don't know how long you should speak on a certain task. So you really need to practice. Thank you. Hello? Hello?
Yes, so we can get you.
Hello?
We can hear you, Simon. I think she's having issues with his connectivity.
Okay. I don't know up to where, because I spoke and finished. I don't know up to where the network cutting.
Hi, everybody. I think we can't hear Chooks. Okay, there we go. Chooks, you're on mute. We can't hear you. Okay. Since there's an issue, I will read the question. It's on the screen to our two speakers. Thank you so much for those interventions. So the question here is that most schools look at other things you do and not just academics, e.g. sports you're involved in, the clubs you have done, volunteerism. For example, volunteering for an organization like Yalda can help one's application really stand out. These kinds of experiences, they also go even beyond just graduate school applications, but also when applying for jobs in the future. What it means, what does it mean to be a well-rounded applicant, and why is it so important?
Thank you for that. I think it's very important to be a balanced applicant because sometimes it is more than the academics. The community service, the volunteering, all these things show good human relationship. And in as much as schools want to admit students and you want to go to schools, they want to be sure that they can relate with you properly, like you have good human relationship. So all these volunteering for organizations, community service, participating in clubs and all of that, they all show that you are more than the academics. They also show that you care about giving back. Like I mentioned before about if you finally become an alumni of that institution, they want to be sure that you're somebody that will consider giving back to them one way or the other. You're somebody that, based on your experience with volunteering, with community service, with being involved with associations, it shows that you have good human relationship and you consider giving back. So apart from the academics, all these things are important. That's why when applying to schools, they don't always ask for your transcript alone. They want to see your resume. All these things show that you have work experience, that you have experience working with organizations, community service, volunteering. So it's always important that you include that in your resume. And also when you ask for recommendation letters, it is important that one of your recommenders can write about your activities and your experience that are not only based on your academics. Academics is not the only thing that makes you a well-rounded applicant, that makes you a balanced applicant. Other things, participating in other things also show that you can take leadership roles and that you have good human relationship. Like if you're applying to some scholarships in the United States, for example, or in Canada that requires you to work with students, maybe to be a student counselor or to associate with students. All these things will show that you can interact very well with students and that you can adapt even though you're in a new country and all of that. So being a well-rounded applicant and a well-balanced applicant is very important, and it goes beyond your academics, it goes beyond that first class, it goes beyond having A's in all your classes. Also giving back, participating, relating with humans very well, joining clubs and all of that are very important. So it's important that you volunteer. If you are still in school right now, you can volunteer for an organization, you can take leadership roles. All these things always add up in the future. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Thank you, Simon. You go ahead and answer the same question.
Yes, I just wanted to add, I mean, Eniola has covered basically everything according to the question. What I just wanted to say, I just want to give an example. For instance, when I was applying for a Masters of Public Health in City University, London, what made me stand out to be admitted was I had experience in food security and livelihoods, that is including nutrition, malnutrition programs, and breastfeeding programs for lactating mothers, and programs for children under 5 years old. That helped me a lot because it was directly related to public health. So you can see how unexperienced, for instance, in an organization like YELDA, or in an NGO, or a CBO, or a faith-based organization can help you, relate to the course you want to apply to. And I normally tell many applicants, for instance, you may finish your bachelor's degree, you go out there and you find a job which is not even related to it, So what you can do is to volunteer in these organizations which relate to what you exactly want to do, because we have to pay the bills, we have to do other things. So you can do whatever you are doing, and then later you can get back to what you exactly want to do.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for that. I'll now introduce our stand-in moderator, because we're not sure what is going on with Chooks. So our next moderator is Katlaho Nawa. She's agreed to help us moderate, given that we're not sure what is going on with Chooks' mic. So Katlaho, if you could please, Chooks, if you could go to the next slides, because I think at least your slide navigation is working. But in the meantime, while Katlaho is setting herself up, very quickly I'll move on to our next question, which is scholarship applications. So this is for you, Eniola. Scholarships are an integral part of schools' application process, given that not many applicants will be able to afford the fees of institutions. There have also been reports that these scholarships are at most times not awarded to students because they either failed to apply or did not meet the application criteria. When applying to schools, how should the applicant approach available scholarship the school has to offer? I know you've put some, you've given us some of the nuggets already, but if you can really kind of bring it all together and say and tell us, like, what are the things people really need to focus on, and what are the things that people miss when doing these applications that they really need to look out for?
Thank you for that question. Yes, I'm going to be talking about this based on my experience and what helped me in landing a full scholarship in the United States for my master's degree. So the first thing is ensure you meet the requirements of any scholarship you're applying for. Ensure you meet the requirements. That school you're applying to, do you meet their requirements? It is very important. You don't just want to be sending applications and getting rejected on and on. Although rejection is part of the process, there are some schools where they will have more competitive applicants than you are and you won't get accepted. But then you should also ensure that you meet requirements. I always talk about the kind of schools to apply to. So I always like classify them into 3 groups. Apply to schools that you meet exactly their requirements. You have exactly what they want in every aspect. Apply to schools like that. The second thing is to apply to schools where your qualification is above their requirements. You have more than they are asking for. And the third one, which is just to try, I always call it trying one's luck, is to apply to schools where you don't necessarily meet their requirements. It is also important because in the pool of applicants, you could never tell, you might actually be among the top applicants for the kind of people that apply to that school that particular period. And also, if you need full scholarship and all of that, I would never recommend applying to just one school. You have to apply to a lot of schools. I heard Simon talking about how you have to apply to like 12 schools. I had to apply to about more than 10 schools. The whole process can be rigorous and stressful, right? The whole sending transcripts, paying application fees and all of that. I understand because I've passed through it. So it needs a plan. It took me a period of a year before I could like get my admission and my scholarship. You can't wake up tomorrow and just say you want to study abroad and be on full scholarship. You have to be planning ahead. You have to give yourself a timeline to plan ahead because it requires a lot. You have to apply to a lot of schools, apply to schools in those 3 categories that I mentioned. Also, in my video about how I landed the full scholarship, I've talked about all these things. Also, the second thing is to apply early. You may actually meet the requirement of a school, you may actually be a great candidate for the scholarship, but maybe they're trying to pick 5 students to give full scholarship to. And then they have to go back. They have a lot of qualified applicants, and then they have to check the timeline with which students submitted the application. This is when applying early really helps, because if you have applied early, you definitely be considered. So it's very important that you apply early. Note the deadlines of the schools and the programs you want to apply to, and make sure you submit your application early. Also, let your profile and your application package be competitive and strong. Think about things that will make you stand out. Maybe you've done some projects in the past that relates to your field or anything like that. Document those projects. Put them on your LinkedIn profile. Put them on your online portfolio and all of that. Make your profile competitive and strong. It is very important. So apply early, apply to schools where you meet their requirements, make your profile competitive, and also do not just apply to one school. And I would never recommend apply. It's good to, like, maybe you have 3 countries in mind and you're trying to apply around. But sometimes I always recommend being focused. Okay, I want this country or I want these 2 countries. I have seen people who are applying to schools in about 10 countries. That wouldn't really help you, because you can get mixed up and you are confused about the requirement of this country and all of that. Because schools in the United States tend to have the same procedure with requirement. Schools in maybe in China can have different kind of requirements and all of that. That's totally different from the United States. So I wouldn't just advise to just apply randomly like that, but no, apply to schools strategically. Be strategic about it. Remember that you have to apply to more than one school. You have to meet the requirements of the school. You have to make your profile competitive. Take those test scores, the GRE, the GMAT, the Ielts, the test of English. All those things make you to be like above, like to have an edge above the other candidates in the pool. Make sure you get great recommendation letters. Do not just allow somebody who's just going to write a generic letter to write a recommendation letter. You have to be sure of whoever is writing a recommendation letter for you. Recommendation letters are very important in landing full scholarships. So this is what I think can really help you in order to approach all these available scholarships. Also, before I leave, I want to talk about how you should search for these scholarships. These scholarships are available. You have to do an extensive search online to find them. If you are looking for a scholarship for maybe your course is biotechnology, you can, and you are targeting Canada, you can always type things like masters in biotechnology, full scholarship. You just type Google, we understand, full scholarship in masters in biotechnology in Canada, and you keep searching through all the links. Keep searching. Like, I had to do an extensive search before I could come up with the schools to apply to. And also in this process, rejection will come. Some schools will not just accept you and all of that. Or some schools will give you admission and they won't give you scholarship. It's all part of the process. All you need at the end of the day is one admission and one scholarship. If you even get 3 scholarships, you are only going to attend 1 school. So all you need is 1 yes at the end of the day. It doesn't matter the number of rejections. It doesn't matter the number of no you've gotten. All you need is 1 yes. So that's what I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eniola, for that. That's very important, especially on the issue of extensive research online. I cannot also overemphasize that, because even for scholarships, you have to look for them in so many sites. At one point, it's even easier to like have email these email requests that you get from different scholarships, informing you that, oh, there's this scholarship out, this scholarship out. It makes it quite easier when it's like that. So thank you so much for that. And also on applying on time. African time is very different from Western time. So applying early will always put you on the good books. Time management is a very important thing. Okay, right now we will then move on to Simon, who will answer. It could be challenging to keep tabs on available scholarships offered by these institutions. Are there scholarship database one could have access to? that regularly provide these opportunities to potential applicants. Simon, over to you.
Yes, back to what I said before, I started my website because before I applied to over 12 universities, and I realized that most of them, like Niola said, most of them offered me admissions, but there was no scholarship. And that was like the first time I started searching for scholarship. Then I was like, yes, I mean, okay, that is a setback. Now I need again to apply. I applied to other universities and I got partial funding, which was not still, I mean, that was like tuition. I mean, living expenses in Europe or in the US are astronomical. I mean, many students can't afford it. And that is why I got a strategy and said, now I have to apply for only fully funded scholarships. And that's what I started doing. And that is what now I advise many other students. Actually, I would say that I went to the web, to different websites like After School Africa, which is a Nigerian website, Scholars for Development, and then scholarship positions. There are many other small ones out there. And then I realized that these websites have everything. They have scholarships, they partially funded, fully funded. They have volunteer, they have internships. It's all over the place. So what I decided to do was stand out and just create a website which only publishes fully funded scholarships. So in my website, you will only find fully funded scholarships. Of recent, I started, like Niola said, you need to know what you're searching for. You need to apply for many scholarships. So, and then you have to keep and make sure that you know when the deadlines are. So what I did was I created the lists like scholarships in Canada, which you can go and look at all the fully funded scholarships in Canada in that article I've written and see when their deadlines are. And then you can track them and see when they open. And I usually tweet when it opens. So you know, or when they open, and then you can apply to them. As well, I have one for UK universities. I'm working on one for Australian universities. And you know, those lists can help because I saw many students are lazy as well to go and search for these offers. And yeah, I have said the websites you can go to, but and I again tell many students in Twitter, you can find a fully funded scholarship and then you can write to me for guidance. The point is I am here to help, and I always help, irrespective whether you come to my website or you go to get it from another website. The mission is to help everyone, because I realize that maybe if you have 1,000 people, there are those 50 people or even 100 people who want to go an extra mile, and those are the people I want to help. Because others, they just come to your direct to your DM and they write you, what about this, and then they disappear, you know. And I mean, like that, you won't get a scholarship to study abroad. You have to be serious. It's like a job search. You have to send many applications strategically, and then one day, you know, you will be successful.
Yeah, true Pan-African spirit indeed. They need to help and assist. I think it's very vital that, like, subscribing to some of these websites also is quite important. But also, like you said, making a list of the scholarships which we want to apply for is also a good way to do it. Okay, so now we'll move on to the next thing, which is please hold on. Okay, the next question is for Eniola. While accepting regular applicant for admission, some schools also frequent scholarship essays for applicants different from motivational letters written by such applicant. Therefore, one's ability to write these essays will be a germane in determining the success of one's application. What are things to consider when writing scholarship essay? Am I not repeating? I hope I'm not repeating this.
Thank you for the question. A scholarship essay, when you're writing a scholarship essay, that is targeting, like, you want a scholarship, you want to be considered. So I would recommend, when writing this kind of essay, you should talk about why you deserve the scholarship, why you should be selected for the scholarship, how it will meet your needs, and what, after using the scholarship to achieve your study dream and all of that, what are your plans after the program and all of that. You have to talk about that too. And so why do you deserve this scholarship? Why should you be considered for this scholarship? You can also, some of these essays always have guidelines. When it is a scholarship essay, they always have guidelines about how they want you to write it. So it's always advisable to follow those guidelines and all of that. If they can give you the number of words they want and all of that, what you should include, your background, what makes you, what do you think as what do you think are your needs that makes you, like, to be considered for this scholarship. So when it's a scholarship essay, they sometimes always have guidelines. So what I would just talk about is why you should write about why you deserve the scholarship, how it will meet your needs, your financial needs and all of that, and what are your plans after using the scholarship to achieve the purpose that to which you have, like, applied for it. So that's what I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Eniola. Yeah, you should, it is important to seek something which really meets your need. Don't just go out there and apply for scholarships just because you want to go to US or Canada. You should really apply for something that exactly suits your need, because the scholarship that you're applying for in the course that you are going to do, you get married to it. That is what you will be doing for the rest of your life. So you don't want to waste your life doing something just because you want to be in a different country. You need to do something that you really want, which you're passionate about. Okay, so now we'll go on to Simon again. When writing these scholarship essays, it has been advised that applicants should simply tell their stories and how the scholarship will help them achieve their long-term goals. Do you subscribe to these, or what else should be the applicant's top priority when writing these essays?
Thank you so much. I have some noise, somebody cleaning outside. Okay. Yes, I absolutely subscribe to this, that to this notion that you should write about your long-term goals. When applying to the university, they want to see what can you do in the short term. It's same for scholarships. If you're applying for a scholarship, they want to see your short-term goals and long-term goals. Now, long-term goals can be in 5 years or 10 years. Mostly it's 5 years. They want to see what you want to do. For instance, in my application, I said I want to do a Master's of Public Health, and after that, I look forward to creating an organization relating to health, like a small community-based organization where I will give back my skills to the community and, organize the youth and do something for the community. And again, maybe in 5 years' time, I'm looking forward to do a PhD in public health. Long-term goals help the universities to see where you're going. Maybe some of them are research-based, and maybe they want to see if you're interested in a research position after your degree, or what can you do in the long term or in the short term. Short term could be like you would be maybe you will come to the university and you organize a group let's say you're studying public health, you will organize the group of other students in your course or in other similar courses, and you do maybe charity or weekend activities together. This could be very helpful because, like, again, before Eniola had a question on like, why do they require things like volunteering, sports, or things like that? So you need to show that you can do these things also well at the university. That could be your short-term goals. And long-term goals, like I said, could be a PhD or research. Again, you have to show as well, now these are other things you write in your essays. You have to show how you fit the program. We have already spoken about that. You have to show your background and influences. What in your background is identical to the course you are going to study, or is identical to the scholarship organization, you know, the organization awarding a scholarship. What are your personal achievements, you know, like leadership achievements, leadership experiences, you know, all these things will help you in your essays to present yourself better. And then also, if there is anything on problem solving, like for instance, you are in an organization and maybe you led a meeting or a discussion on small conflict resolution, all these things can help depending on the course you are applying for. For instance, if you are applying for an MBA, or definitely leadership and problem solving will be key when you are applying. I mean, will be key in your essays for your application. Yeah, I think those are the things you should look out for when writing your essays.
Yes, that's very important. Your long-term goals. You know, when you're really passionate about something, I don't think it will be very difficult to write. It should just flow because you're writing with passion and what you really want at the end of the day. So if you're an electrical engineer and you want to own a power plant one day, supplying it to your community, it should be easy to be able to put that in paper, well written, so that you can be able to convince those who will be reading your applications. So when writing, just let it be from passion, and also highlight your long-term goals, like Mr. Simon is saying. Right now, I want to introduce back Chooks, who is back to moderate. Thank you so much. Okay, it seems like he's probably still having that network problem. I'd like to move on now to life after school. Eniola, this is a personal question. The knowledge you have garnered over time through your computer science graduate study has undoubtedly set you on the course to create positive impact around the world. What does life after graduate study feel for you and other African students in the US?
Thank you for that question. So far with what I've seen, the past students who have graduated like earlier this year, and I'll be graduating next year. So like what I see is always like most go for further studies. Like maybe you finished a master, some go for their PhD, those ones go to academia, and even if going to the industry, some go for further studies in order to know more, and then some go on to postgrad, like postgrad work opportunities, and some go back to their country to add value and be part of something great. So I also like I'm still trying to decide between these three options, like life after grad school in the US for me and other African students and other international students is always like in between this among these three, going back home to add value and be part of something great, going on to further studies, or embracing like work opportunities post graduation. So that is what it is. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'd like to give a bit of my experience with scholarship applications. I've applied for so many scholarships after completing my undergraduate. So many rejections. But then there's one moment I just decided to apply for the Pan-African scholarship. Actually, it just popped up on my screen because I was always on my computer just searching for opportunities and subscribing to different scholarship sites so that I can get information once there's a scholarship out. So I just happened to see the Pan-African scholarship last year. Around May, I applied, and the application was successful. I came to Cameroon. I'm in Cameroon doing my Master of Regional Governance and Regional Integration at the Pan-African University. And well, what prompted me really to quickly apply was that apart from having to look for scholarships for so long, was that the application was also easy. It was such an easy application to me because I had been, applying for so many things. So I had already experienced and practiced how to write that letter of motivation. So it's really important to apply for many scholarships, just like Simon and Eniola have been saying that you should apply for many scholarships because that also gives you experience. You get to learn on how to write and you learn from your mistakes. So and the reason why I also choose the Pan-African Scholarship is because of the long-term goals that of the long-term goals that I have, like Simon has been saying, to one day see myself at the AU, at the UN, representing my country, Botswana. And that should be the driving force. Your passion should be what drives you in your applications. But even though I'm here, I have even bigger plans to see myself in the diaspora, like Eniola, you see. So that is why this webinar is very, very important to me. So anyway, that was just a side. I'd like to move on now to Simon. What options are available for one's graduation from these institutions?
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, it's actually similar to life after school, what Neil has just answered. I think you have the option to stay and get a job. For instance, in the UK, I decided to leave, but I have colleagues, actually some from Nigeria, who remained and they got jobs in the UK. And some of them, like colleagues from Rwanda, South Africa, went back. Many from the US, of course, went back. And so you have that one option. The second one is, yeah, when you go back home, then, maybe you have a hyper chance of getting a good job. For instance, if you are doing a course in IT, computer, data analysis, if you're doing something on public health, or, many fields in some countries, it's not maybe difficult. You could find something, or you could go back and maybe organizations you are working for and start again, maybe a volunteer or an internship or something, or start your own, like if you did a course and you go back and you see the gap, start your own business or start your own organization. That could be very helpful. Of course, also graduate school helps you build professional relationships. You may have to collaborate with different students you have studied with in different projects. It could be in different countries, and you could coordinate a project, or you just get to know people, and that's helpful. And then another thing is, like, for instance, for my experience, I managed to get a small research job, a research assistant job from my lecturer, actually the head of the department. It was like, okay, I have this literature review for you to do. For 3 months I did that, and that was awesome. I mean, it was high paying, and that was good for me. And then another thing is, you could go to a higher degree, like a PhD. I mean, if you pass your master's well, like if you're doing a master's, or if you pass your undergraduate well, you have a chance of getting a master's scholarship if you are doing undergraduate, and you have a chance of getting a PhD scholarship if you have a master's degree. So it depends really on what you want to do, because some people would want to go directly from one degree to another. We just have people who are motivated to get a PhD. This is like, I want to get this PhD done. And there are some people who are like, okay, I just want the master's, then maybe go and experiment how this field of study is. And maybe you go out there and you realize, I need to do research on another topic, and you could go and do a PhD in that topic. So it really depends on what you want as an applicant or as a person. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. But I'd like to ask a question. So I've heard people saying that it is not quite advisable that after doing your master, to directly continue with your PhD because after doing your PhD, then you will need to start working, but you will not be having any experience whatsoever. So they were suggesting that maybe after doing your master, it's better you go and work before doing your PhD. So what advice can you give on such kind of situations?
Yeah, this is a question I get a lot. One is it really depends on what you want. First of all, finishing a master's degree and getting experience will be good. When you finish your PhD, you can go back and work in that field, or you can find a postdoctoral job after that PhD. That is good. But again, I tell people, if you have a chance, if you get a chance to get a scholarship for a PhD, do it, because a PhD anyway doesn't guarantee you a job, you know. It helps in your resume, and you still have to get experience in order to get that top job. It's always like that. So whichever way it comes to you, if you get a scholarship, go for it. If you don't get a scholarship, don't stress yourself. Go start working, and maybe you go to a research organization. If you're lucky, you go to a research organization and you get research experience. That means when you go to your PhD, you won't struggle. And again, if you have a good master's degree, like for instance, my master's in public health was more research based. Half of the course was research, qualitative and quantitative analysis, data analysis. It was really research. So if I want to go to a PhD directly, it would have not been a problem. But again, you have other courses, like for instance, you do a master's in, I don't know, history, and you want to continue. Maybe in that master's, you didn't really get enough research experience, but maybe you got an experience in publications. It still can help you, but you need experience at some point, you know. So yeah, that's what I can say about that.
Okay, I'm learning quite a lot. Okay, yeah, that's true though. You can never know where life takes you. Life is very short, so it's very important that every opportunity that you get, you should seize it and do it to the best of your ability. So that's a very vital point too. Okay, I'd like to move on now to question and answers. If you have any questions, please just unmute your mic and ask. You can direct it to any of our colleagues here, either Eniola or Simon, please. Bernard, do you have a question?
Hello. Yes, I have a question.
Okay, please. The floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bisaso Bernard from Uganda. Actually, my question is like a challenge. I got a challenge with volunteering. In that, the organizations I have tried need someone with experience within the field of interest. So, what advice could you give me? Thank you so much.
Hello, fellow countrymen. Yes. Yeah. Some organizations, for instance, NGOs, it would be difficult because I remember many people trying to get volunteering from the NGOs I worked for in Karamoja, that's Uganda. And yeah, some organizations may receive like many applications, and they would definitely choose people with experience because they don't want to train people. And you know, like if you are a volunteer, you need to be supervised by somebody, and some people don't want to give a lot of time training you as a volunteer, so they would take somebody who has a little bit of experience. But my advice is look at faith-based organizations, look at community-based small organizations. Like I know many people, you know, where I come from, who also went to smaller organizations and start from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for that answer, Simon, and I hope you are also satisfied with the answer, Bernard. Chooks, if you're available, please, I'd like to hand back the moderating back to you to continue with the question and answer. Okay.
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Okay.
Sam.
Hello. Can you please?
Yeah, hello.
So before going on with your question, can you please state your name and your country where you're coming from? Then you can continue with your question. If someone is speaking, please mute your mic so that there isn't any disturbance. When you're posing your question, that's when you can unmute your mic. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Sama Desmond from Cameroon. Like, I wish to ask this question because there's these challenges that you usually face when volunteering. Like, you are not the issue of finance. Sometimes you don't have finance to take off your basic necessity. If something like that come up that you really need finance and you are not being given something like a motivation finance, are you going to quit the volunteerism or you continue?
Eniola or Simon, you can answer that. But before you do, okay, let me just say this. Volunteering is something that you do out of your heart, passion, out of your heart. It's your passion, something that you like. Don't just go and volunteer just because you want to fill your CV. You should do it because you love it and you have passion for it and you want to help. So, and most volunteering opportunities are non financial, like you don't get any payment for it because you are assisting, you are helping, and that's what organizations want to see from you. Are you that kind of human being who has a big heart to care and help fellow people in the community without really considering money as a factor? That's what they look at. So anyway, I would like to hand over to either Simon or Eniola to answer that question.
Yes, thank you. And that is really one of the difficult things about volunteering because some organizations give a small stipend and some organizations completely don't give anything. Either they will call it volunteering or internship, it depends. And like in Europe now, I see there are many organizations which are trying to, movements which are being created, which are against volunteering and internship because these organizations at the end of the day also end up exploiting volunteers. They call them volunteers to do, they end up doing their work, which they get funding for. So it's not also fair. But again, like our moderator said, it's kind of like maybe you should give 3 months without pay. I don't know, because that experience may help you get a job, or or it may help you when you're applying for further studies, like to show in your CV. But again, you must be passionate about it. It should be also something which is linked to where you're going to. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the answer.
Okay, thank you for that. If there's anyone else with a question, please, you can go ahead.
Hello, my name is Diana Doreen from Kenya. I just wanted you people to shed more light on online scholarships. Are they really valid, or what should you look out for so that you may not be deceived? Because there's so many information out there about scholarships. So sometimes maybe you might land on an online scholarship kind of thing. Is it really valid, or how should we go about that?
Yes, Doreen, if I remember the name well, Doreen from Kenya, Abari. Yes, you have to vet through because there are a lot of websites out there. Some people write to me in Twitter to say, can you confirm if this scholarship is valid? Again, you could go to, there's scholarships which are well known, like from MasterCard, from Commonwealth, from Chevening, from different universities like IFTS, Harvard, really providing the scholarship. You can go to their website and go to the funding or scholarship page or section, and you can see if it is really published in that university's website. Or alternatively, you can contact people like me, whom you know, like have a website, have a brand, and they can help you look if the scholarship is legitimate. Yeah, it's a crowded space, so you need to know what you're doing. And also, you can go to the page of the organization offering the scholarship, and you can see that they are alumni. You can see how many years they have been offering the scholarship. I mean, you can, yeah, double check, see, do they have a Twitter page or do they have a LinkedIn profile? All these things you can do your due diligence in about 10 to 15 minutes to see if the scholarship is legit. Thank you.
Yeah, on adding on to that also, sometimes to check whether the legitimacy of the scholarship also, you can, like, I know I went to my my ministry, the ministry back home, which is in charge of international affairs, to really check whether that scholarship is genuine. So that's something you can also do to check whether the scholarship is authentic, and ask around, do your research to really determine whether it is the right one, because now there are a lot of things happening. There's a lot of human trafficking, so it is very important to check the authenticity of it. If there are any other questions, please, the floor is still open for questions.
Yeah. Hello. I'm having details from Liberia. My question is, because I listened to one of the presenters, they talk about English proficiency. So my question is, if you are a science student and in your university as a science student, you people are not focused more on English language and wanting to apply for scholarship, and so some of the qualification is you gotta be fluent in both speaking and writing English. And you are, as an applicant, you find it very difficult. What are some of the things that you can do to improve your English writing skill and that of the English language?
Yes, hello. For the English, I would really say it's the Ielts, which shows that you are proficient in speaking, listening, writing, and reading. Because all these help in your postgraduate or undergraduate studies. So I would say that you really need to practice the Ielts, go through writing essays, listen to do the listening for the listening tasks, try writing essays, things like that could help you improve. So like I said, I have free practice materials. You could use those materials, or if you can buy a Cambridge book, or subscribe to an online course. Also, British Council has just small online courses which you can do. They don't really help because I've looked at them and they're just small, but the materials I give are really packed. They're a lot. I've given like 20 sets of practice. That's enough for you to pass the exam. So it can help you improve your English. Of course, again, read magazines, listen to BBC if you have internet access. Things like that can help you improve your English. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Eniola, I don't know if you have anything to add to that. He's asking on how he can improve his English speaking, both speaking and writing, towards going to write the IELTS test. Or maybe she's no longer with us. Okay. Anyway, another important thing you can do, Elvin, in improving your English, like Mr. Simon is saying, it takes a lot of practice. Get friends who speak proper English so that you can learn from them. Read a lot, watch YouTube videos, but really interacting with people who speak English is, I think it would be really, really helpful. Like, yeah. So guys, we have less than 5 minutes before we end. So if anyone still has any question, please, the floor is still open. Remember to state your name and your country, and then you can pose your question.
Yes. Hello.
Okay, so Desmond, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yes, I wish to ask this question and still on volunteerism. Like, is there a law that gives a maximum limit for which one can volunteer in an organization internationally? Wish to ask. And if yes, how long?
Yes, hello. I've not had something like that, unless maybe if I miss it somewhere, but I haven't had something like that. And by the way, when you're applying for the scholarship, it's not a must that you must have the voluntary experience or even experience. It's not a must. If you have good grades in your previous course of study and you write a good personal statement showing other things, because volunteering or work experience is additional, but your grades can make you even join a university without these other things. So don't think about it so much that it's mandatory that you should get volunteering experience or work experience. I knew many people from my master's course who came directly from undergraduate with no experience, of course, directly to the master's program because they had good grades in their undergraduate studies. So yeah, I've not heard of any law which gives a specific hours you need to have.
Okay, thank you so much. Because of time, we'd like to hear the last words from our moderators. What last words do you have for us in terms of scholarship applications, advice? What advice can you give us when applying? I'd like to start with anyone. Like, can you please let us hear your last words for us? Thank you.
Okay, my last words is I just want to advise that in anything, always understand that whatever you're passing through is a phase. If you start this process and it gets discouraging along the path and all of that, you should always think about people who have gone ahead of you, have done it and achieved it. So you should always understand that it is a phase. And this advice applies to every other thing in life, not even only scholarship or study abroad or anything like that. Whatever you're passing through is a phase that is going to end. It won't always be like that. So if you're passing through any hard time, any struggles and all of that, always know that it is a phase. The whole pandemic that we have now, it's a phase. It's something that is going to still be in the history books. So whatever you are passing through is a phase. And if you're applying to schools and getting rejected, when I started applying to schools, the rejections came first. And it's normal that like you get overwhelmed, you get discouraged, and you feel like giving up. But I want to advise that you shouldn't give up, because if you give up, that is when you actually fail, not when you get rejected or anything. When you give up, that's when you fail, and you will never know when you give up. So you just have to keep pushing and doing your best and giving it all your best. So I was about to leave the program because I have another engagement. I was trying to contact the organizers and all of that. So these are my last words, and you can connect with me on Twitter or on my YouTube channel to ask further questions. I'm really grateful for this opportunity, and I look forward to more of it. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Simon, please let us hear from you, your last words.
Thank you so much. I guess Chooks has a problem with the connection, but thank you so much to Chooks and you, the moderator, and Eniola, and all the people who have joined the webinar. This has been really good, and let's create, platforms like this, because We have like 25 attendees, if I can see, because we were supposed to have 251. And this can help people get information, because, my experience is different from other people, but if we can combine our experiences, then we can help many people who have also different experiences. So thank you so much, and stay focused. Rejection is part of the process. Keep applying and apply for what you are eligible for. Thank you.
Rejection is definitely part of the process. And like Eniola was saying, it's all a phase. No matter how many rejections you might get, just keep on pushing, be determined. Don't let go of your goal. Remember your why. Your why should push you until the end, no matter how hard it is. Thank you so much for joining us. I am sure that we have all learned a lot from this, and it is very vital information which we are now going to use. Don't only take information and keep it for yourself without using it. Go and use it, go and share it with other people to help them in their application process. It might be your sister or your cousin or whoever. Just go and share the love that we are also getting from these two wonderful people who have been sharing with us their experiences and their knowledge. We've come to the end of our session. Thank you so much for joining us.